All right, friends, welcome to another edition of the always fabulous Industry 45 podcast show. I'm your host, Shane Christopher Neal. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining me once again. Just a reminder, gianttv.ca. You can check out the Industry 45 podcast show there. Also, you can go to giantfm.com, Giant TV Niagara on YouTube. And now you can also go to musiclifemagazine.net. So, today's guest, quite interesting because I was always a big Styx fan. Grew up with all their hits. They came out in the early 70s. Lady was their first big hit. Babe made it to number one. All songs written and performed by the great Dennis DeYoung. In fact, Dennis wrote 7 of the band's 8 top 10 singles. He was the voice, the face, the theatrics behind Styx. Now, he left Styx in 1999. There were a few reunions here and there and stuff. And I don't know if you're like me, but if you're from Southern Ontario, in 2007, you would have seen Dennis DeYoung performing the songs of Styx in Niagara Falls on New Year's Eve. But anyway, really cool. Dennis has a brand new album out on Frontiers, and it is called 26 East Volume 1, which just leaves me to ask, of course, the question, is there a Volume 2? I think we probably know the answer to that. But he's got 2 singles out right now. The first one, Julian Lennon sings, called To the Good Old Days, and Dennis does all the harmonies. Great tune. And another song called East of Midnight, which is interesting for me because it really is about radio and how radio has broken bands and played new music typically after midnight at the time. And of course, I'm a late night radio host. So East of Midnight is the other single we're going to talk about. Jim Peterik is involved in this project. If you don't know Jim, he is the founding member of the band Survivor and, of course, a songwriter of Eye of the Tiger. So we're going to sit down and chat with Dennis DeYoung today on the Industry 45 show, talk about the new album, the new single, and what's going on for 2020. Don't go anywhere, friends. Coming up next, it's the great Dennis DeYoung.
You're listening to the Industry 45 podcast show with Shane Christopher Neal on Giant TV.
All right, it's always a privilege to talk to people that you grew up listening to, and this person is no exception. Welcome, Dennis DeYoung, to the program.
How are things up in the Great North?
Well, the Great North is like everywhere else. Nothing is going on right now. So, it is what it is, right? And you were saying to me earlier, I think you had a hazmat suit on or something, because you never know.
Right now you're sitting there to entertain yourself. Law and Order reruns, old stale pizza, and words with friends.
That's exactly it. And we are at a social distance, just in case anyone is wondering. I got a story for you. So I'm 51. Back when I was in my early teens, used to be a place called the Roller Alley in Welland, not far out of Niagara Falls. And as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid, you'd go roller skating, and you knew the last song of the night was a slow song, and you had to find a girl to dance. And every night, it was Babe by Styx. And it forever is embedded in my mind because I remember just soon as you heard that song start, you got stressed out because you had to go find a girl that you've been eyeing all night and have enough courage to ask her to dance. So my first love, if you will, of girls at a young age came to me dancing to Babe. So I wanted to share that story with you.
Well, you're welcome. You want to hear another story? Jim Carrey wrote in an interview that he, first time he had sexual relations with a girl was to Lady, but he's a little older than you. Look, here's the thing. We love rock and roll music. I love rock and roll music, but I remember Elvis. Was it Hound Dog? And then right after Hound Dog, we heard Love Me Tender. You know what I mean? And I thought, I love them both. And that's me. I have a very broad, wide array of and taste in music. And as much as you want to bang our heads and rock out, we want an opportunity to slow dance with a young lady, and a young lady wants the opportunity to do the same. And the thing about what you said about roller rinks, when I do my live show, I said that was me, in your rec room. That was me in your kitchen. That was me in your car. That was me at your graduation, at your prom, and at the roller rink. I say that because Babe might have been at one time the national biggest hit at roller rinks of all time. Now, I don't even know why that happened, but when you tell me that story, it makes my heart glad, because Babe, the actual Babe, can hear this interview. She's sitting in the next room, my wife of 50 years.
Right.
So that's a song I wrote, not for Styx. I don't know if you know the story. It was a demo I did with John and Chuck Panazzo. And for my wife's birthday, I wrote her a song for birthday, and I never intended the world to hear it. It was never for anyone but her. It turned out so good that the record company wanted it, and that's how it got on the album. So what started out just as a heartfelt thanks to somebody who I was constantly traveling without her being there, and saying thanks for hanging in there with me, and thanks for loving me and raising our daughter. It turned out it touched hearts all the way up into the Canadian North at a roller rink.
That's right. That song,
is that a miracle? That's a miracle.
It really is. And that song went to #1, right? I think it was the only #1 song by Styx. Is that right? I think the other ones...
It was, except in Canada. You people are so smart. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. We had 4 #1 records in Canada.
In Canada, right, yeah.
Did, and I didn't realize that. I started reading these statistics recently, and that's what you do when you get old. You listen. By the way, can you answer this question? If you Google yourself more than 300 times a day, is that excessive?
No, I'm at least 400. So if you're doing 3 and you got a longer history than I do, that's not bad.
So I did, and it said the Canadian charts, 4 #1 hits up in Canada. That's amazing. So yeah, but in the United States, we had one. That was Babe, and
right.
It was never supposed to be a Styx song. So you know what? As we know right now, the universe does what it wants, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about your record, because that's what we're here to talk about. But I want to say one other thing, that you were so unique, because back in those days, you were married, you had kids. Like, people who were, quote, rock stars, that's not the life they were living. They were using and abusing drugs and women, and here you were, this family guy, right? And you had a wife at home, and you were such a different perspective for people back in that day, and I think that is so awesome.
Well, thanks. I was married and had a kid before I had a record deal, so from the very beginning, my wife was there, to not only to ground me, but to support me.
Well, so, she did a good job, man.
Yeah, she did a great job, and she's in the next room, and she's laying on ice. She just had back surgery. So
she's letting you do an interview. Thank her for me, would you?
Yeah, I will. So later I'll bring her a Brajol.
So you have a brand new album out, coming out actually in a couple weeks, April the 10th on Frontiers, 26 East Volume 1. So before I get into the title of the album and some of the songs, why a record now for you?
It's a good question, because I fought it. In 2014, 15, I was offered an opportunity to make a brand new record, and I turned it down. I didn't think that I didn't think that the music business, as it has been currently constructed in the last maybe 6, 7, 8 years, it's so antithetical against rock music, because the delivery system by which rock was founded on is gone. There's so few contemporary rock stations anywhere. They're almost always classic rock, like you. And I've said jokingly many times, the 2 most dreaded words in the English language to classic rock fans is new music.
Right, exactly. And that was my question. Like, why, do people care about new music?
Well, the thing is, I didn't believe they did. And then the president of Frontiers Records, who offered me the deal, kept every 6 months, Dennis, please I have an album deal for you. Why? And then my buddy Jim Peterik from Survivor.
Right. Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Marsh, 38 Special. He's a songwriter. He's the guy who wrote Eye of the Tiger. he lives 3 blocks from me, and he's also on Frontiers, and he kept, nagging me. Dan, come on, the world needs your music. I said, yeah, have the world text me, because I don't buy it. So he kept up, and finally, he said, let's write some songs. I said, I wanna. And he sent me a demo of a song, real bare bones, just him, with him sitting there and singing on the phone. And I said, oh, that's a pretty good song, man. So let's see if we can finish it. We finished it, and before you know it, we had finished 8. So we kept working, and then I still wasn't convinced I wasn't going to take any money from a record company until I knew I had the songs. Because, attention, all musicians, please, just because you can make records in the toilet now with all these digital devices or anywhere else you choose, doesn't mean you should. Okay? Make sure you got good songs. We just don't need music crowding our heads. We need great songs. If you got one, record it. And if you don't know what a great song is, get a muse or ask people.
Sure.
And so I wasn't going to make a bunch of... I know how to write songs. I wanted to make good ones. If I couldn't make good ones, I wasn't going to do it. And it turns out, I thought at some point, hey, we got some good ones. Let's finish the album. So we did, and it comes out the 10th. 26 East is the title, and right now I decided to release my first single off the album in the midst of a pandemic. This is what I call perfect timing. So, but it is because
people have an opportunity to sit home and listen to it.
Yeah, it's plenty. Download it, kids. It's the lead single is a duet I did with Julian Lennon. It's a song called "To the Good Old Days." Oh boy, now more than ever do we need that song.
Right.
And, I just love it. So I did that, and it's a 2-sided single. It has love, Jesus Christ. East of Midnight is the flip, and it's a typical Styx song from the heyday 70s, late 70s, and the other one is me and Jules just doing a song.
So my question about that one, though, To the Good Old Days, which I really like, and I didn't even know that Julian Lennon was still singing. Like I had no idea.
You may not have known either.
Yeah, so this a little bit of surprise. And what I want to know is that the song really is about kind of the sweet days of your past, right? The fans, the friends, the family, all of those type of things. But yet really, Jules carries the majority of the vocal, right? You harmonize with him on it.
Yeah, I constructed it that way on purpose. It's a 2-part, it's like, imagine the Beatles when John and Paul sang the whole thing. Sing Babies in Black. It's not that kind of a song. Oh, dear, what can I do, Babies in Black? That's Lennon and McCartney harmonizing. And really, who is singing the melody? I don't know. It goes back and forth.
Right.
So in this song, I constructed it for the two of us to sing because harmony in music and in life is vital.
Right.
When things fit together and feel right, it's really, really special, and it emphasizes that, along with what's going on right now, we are all in this thing together, and our differences that are exacerbated for many reasons, through religion or politics or skin color, or you name it. I'm on this team, you're on that tribe. When it comes down to it, we're human beings on this planet, and we're all going to face the inevitability of the universe. So harmony is vital. And one and one, like in this song, 1 and 1 makes 3. When he and I sing together, it's bigger than the individuals. It
Right.
makes something bigger, and that's what I went for. Did I accomplish the task?
I think so. I think it's a great song, and you guys sound great singing together. You have a lyric line in here, something like "For times ahead, may we all forgive." And I'm listening to that, and I don't know, I really don't know today what your relationship or lack of is with Tommy Shaw and Styx. Was this part of that, like forgiving kind of? I mean, I'm moving on in my life. I mean, I'm putting closure on things in the past. I'm thankful for it, but I'm done with that.
I think it's macro, not micro. Micro would be what you discussed,
right?
Regarding one aspect of my life. But the overarching thought process for me was forgiveness is vital. It's tough. It's the hardest thing to give, is forgiveness. But it frees both parties from the chains that bind us. And I was just saying, when we look back, we have to forgive others and we have to forgive ourselves and say, we are, after all, just these goofball human beings who, unlike other species, as far as we know, are the only ones on the planet that know that we're finite. Mm-hmm. And that's a heavy load to bear. So often when I see human beings acting like mooks, imbeciles, awful, I think, guys, yeah, you know you're not going to last forever, and a lot of that drives behavior. So forgiveness is important for all of us.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I went to the micro just because that's where my mind was going, right? When I'm listening to this song.
They're going to go, well,
yeah.
Does he mean this? I mean, sure, specifically and in general.
Right.
And I'm raising a glass to the past in this song, aren't I?
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
saying there was good, right? And there will be moments, that are not so happy, that were pretty tough to get through. Some may even say impossible. Let's join arms. Let's raise a glass and say, look, we've come this far.
Right. Good
Here's
point.
what we've done. And we are, after all, only human.
And these are important times for us to get along and to forgive, obviously. I want to talk about East of Midnight. Ironically, I do late night radio. Now, late night radio has drastically changed over the years, obviously, but this song is really cool about how music transported us to a world bigger than we knew. And I mean, you hit on the head when you said this is a classic 1970s Styx song. I'm in love with the song. I was working this morning in my office. I played it 3 to 4 times. Amazing song.
Wait till you hear the album. I'm gonna have Jody send it to you. So you got to share. You can't share it or post it. But wait till you hear the album if you like that. See, the album is more like that track.
Okay.
And the Jewel song is an outlier. I wrote that for he and I to sing. Mm-hmm. And it's not Styx-like, other than you hear me in there. That's more, well, dare I say, Beatlesque.
Yeah, absolutely.
But East of Midnight, and coincidentally, I just realized this the other day doing all these interviews, East of Midnight is the first song on the record, and to the good old days is the last one. What comes in between is more like East of Midnight. And for the Styx fans who've been waiting for something like this, well, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, and so you dug it.
26 East. So speak to this now. I like that it's volume 1, which tells me there's going to be more than one album. And if I know Serafino, he's probably convinced you to do more than one album. So 26 East is what? And the address where you grew up specifically when you first started out?
Yeah, it's my parents' house. It was 26 East, 101st Place. In the basement of that house in 1962, 2 kids, the Panazzo brothers, who lived across the street, and me got together for the first time and decided to form a band. And we did, right then and there. So where it began, so shall it end. It began in that basement. And the 3 locomotives, there are 3 locomotives.
Right, I saw that.
On the album cover represent John, Chuck, and myself, the 3 guys who were the nucleus of Styx.
Right.
So it was, once again, a tribute without whom, the 3 of us, there would never have been a Styx. And the fact that we got together in 1962, we weren't even playing rock and roll. I played accordion. We were kids trying to make our parents happy. Because you know what we want? You know what you want and I want and everyone listens? Everybody wants a pat on the head. They want people to tell them, good job.
Right.
Approve of you. We love you. That's what human beings want. And they go to extreme measures to get it.
So you have volume 1, which tells me, again, like you have more than probably enough songs to do a volume 2, or...
Here's what happened. I only wanted to do 1 record.
Okay.
And then Jim Peterik and I got together. We started writing. Like I said, we wrote 8 songs together. And so we ended up, I ended up with about 18 songs. He and I wrote at least half, and I wrote the other half by myself. And I thought Frontiers would say, well, okay, let's winnow it down, to the best. And Serafina was the president. Came to me and said, we want them all. I said, well, you can't put them all. People are going to be like, who needs all this music? So he said, how about if we do 2 releases? And I didn't want to, but I did it because I figured, okay, I did all the work. I spent all the money, all the time and the effort. If you think the songs are good enough, fine by me. So there will be 2. When it comes, it'll depend on the success of this first one. If the first one is successful, it'll be a while. If it dies in the vine in 4 weeks, in the 5th week we'll come with the second one. No, I don't know what they're going to do. No idea.
Well, and you right now, I mean, this obviously probably won't happen at this point, but April 3rd, you were playing the House of Blues, right, to play the album for the crowd there, Q&A, playing some Styx songs after that, maybe some songs. So that's obviously probably going to get pushed back.
I said it's the world under house arrest.
Yeah. And you were supposed to play this weekend, too.
And you know what? Sometimes, like I said to you in the beginning, without sounding like a know-it-all, we're just human beings on this planet. We don't know what the heck's going on in the universe. We fool ourselves to think we have control. This proves conclusively we do not. So everyone can relax right now. Hopefully everyone will be all right. They'll have enough food, water, and they won't be in such financial straits that their lives will be altered. But we're in the same basket.
Right, all together.
That's it. The guy who runs Universal Music, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment business, he's got it.
Yeah, I heard that.
Tom Hanks has got it. This is, it don't care. It doesn't care how many, albums you sold. It doesn't care how smart you think you are. So the best thing I think we can all do is to take it for what it is, protect ourselves, and to tell the people that we love them. And now that we're trapped in a house together, try not to kill each other.
That's a good point. Looks like you're looking after your wife, though, so you're doing a good job so far.
Oh, listen, my wife and I have been together like this for decades, and so we looked at each other. He says, everyone's going, oh, they're in the house by themselves. I said, well, for us, that's Thursday.
Great point. So will this be, after Volume 2 comes out, will this be it for you for albums? Is this the bookend to a storied career that started out, with Styx early on and will end with this? Or where do you see the next 5 years?
That's it, kids. If I keep touring, it'll depend on the universe again. My tour, which you mentioned, has all been everybody's tour has been said, hey, by the way, people aren't going to come together and see you. That seems a little dangerous. So when that resumes, I will resume like everybody else because I'm no special than anybody else. Lady Gaga's got nothing on me, does she?
No.
No, she ain't going either.
No, right.
Oh, and by the way, I've always preferred, I don't know about you, but I preferred the first ga to the second. So we're all in the same boat.
One of the things, your son plays on this album, correct?
He plays to the good old days with Jules on vocals.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story. Aren't you interested?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a drummer. Of course I am.
That was a Beatles tribute. 2964 was the opening line when the Beatles were on Sullivan, which changed my life. That moment I saw the Beatles, I said, I'm going to do that. So where it began, so shall it end. I'm writing this Beatles song as a tribute. And I said, who can I get to sing this with? And I thought, I wonder if Julian Lennon would do it. But then I thought, no, he shouldn't sing a song like this. That's when I went to the piano and wrote To the Good Old Days. Mm-hmm. For he and I specifically. I sent it to him, a little demo. I don't know him. Never met him. I just sent it in an email, got his manager's address and sent it. And he emailed me back, he'd be honored to do it. See? Every time I think the universe is trying to kill me, it does something nice.
Right. And it shows you should always ask because you never know.
No, you don't know. There's the pretty girl there. You're afraid to ask her to dance. Well, you'll never know unless you ask.
That's right. So Matthew plays drums on that track.
He does. And he thanks me every day. He didn't want to do it at first. Because, father and sons, right? He didn't want to disappoint his father.
Right.
I said, "You're not. You're gonna make me the happiest guy in the world." Matt had his own band. His mother in the back. Shut up! Don't do that! Holy Christ!
So he has his own band.
What I'm talking about. So, honey, you want to do the rest of the interview? Yes, she does.
There you go.
So there you go. Yeah. And he called me up every day and said, "Oh, Dad, I can't believe it." Because, here in the United States, it came out Monday in the midst of the chaos. And we got our first chart position on Media Base and BDS here in the United States. And on the classic hits thing, which is an odd thing, it came up number 2 and number 1. Go on! That's ridiculous. So I'm going to start a campaign. All you Canadians, go download it. Call your radio station. Do you guys play new music, by the way? You don't.
No, we don't, and that's the problem,
What's
right?
wrong with you? Let me talk to your PD. Who's your PD?
I'll hook you up. You can ask him why you can't play new songs.
I'm going to tell him right now, classic hits. They don't play new music either, but they added it, and people like it.
We play Come Sail Away and Mr.Roboto and,
Oh, yeah. Put this on in the morning on your morning show, and people will thank you. I guarantee it. If it doesn't happen, you'll give them $5.
All right. Sounds like a good plan. So 26.
So anyway, there you go. I'm on the charts. I'm going to start a campaign that says, "Let's make Dennis DeYoung, at 73, the oldest guy in history to have a top 10 single."
That's right. See, there you go.
Why not?
Absolutely. And I've
Be
said
part of something, kids.
That's right. And I'll tell you, like I tell everybody that I interview that comes to Canada, I'm a drummer and I think I'm great some days. So if you ever need somebody and you're in Niagara Falls, Ontario, playing a gig, maybe I could pull it off.
We got a spot for tambourine.
I'll take it. Whatever you got.
Good old days. You come out there and play the 2 and the 4, would you?
Absolutely. So 26th East, Volume 1, coming out on Frontiers, April 10th. Make sure you buy it. You can go to the website, your website. You have a website. I wrote it down here, right? DennisDeYoung.com.
Facebook. That's where everything on there, kids. If you like this interview, don't go. Because I write everything on my own Facebook and I read it. So it's not like a typical, "Oh, the world is great. We're playing here tonight. Aren't we sensational?" It's not that kind. I say stuff on there. And if you like what I said here today, okay, go. If you don't like it, don't ever go there.
Dennis DeYoung, you're the best. Thank you so much.
All right, guys and gals, be well, and everyone stay healthy.